Okay, hello there. Welcome back to another newsletter, video newsletter update. I'm sitting in a coffee shop in South Florida in Fort Lauderdale right now, which is why my audio and video quality is how it is. And why I might be talking a little quieter and more awkward than usual. I am also totally taking Zoom client calls in this coffee shop. But hello, I am back from my trip to Costa Rica. I was in Costa Rica all of last week for an amazing retreat after going to Vegas. So I went straight from Vegas to Costa Rica and had an awesome time. I love being in Costa Rica. I like love being in the jungle and soaking up all the nature. Like it's so lush and like the sounds of nature are so powerful. And this was a dance and movement retreat, and I totally didn't know what I was walking into. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't really know these people that were hosting the retreat, even though they have like a very large online following. But I just didn't know what I was signing up for. I basically tagged along with a friend and was like, yeah, sure, I'll come to this, and didn't do any research. So it was very physically intense in a lot of ways. We did like conditioning and push-ups and animal crawls every day, sweat through so many layers of clothing, but also learned a lot and had so much fun, just like hours moving my body every day and like doing new dance styles, but in a somatic way, where it's like letting the body process different emotions and being really tapped into the body. It was really powerful. And there was a lot of personal growth and personal development that came along the way, because sometimes I've noticed that when I'm in my day-to-day routines of life, everything like feels good. Like I'm high vibe, I'm rocking it, I'm just like doing. But then when you put yourself in a new container, whether that's a retreat in something in person, especially when you're traveling, or whether it's like a coaching container, right? When you put yourself in a new environment and a new context, that's what creates the pressure cooker for growth. Like more is going to come up than it does in your day to day when you're in your comfort zone. So I also experienced a lot of like inner work. I notice like these deep wounds and pain and emotions that I've noticed before, but then I forget exist. And then I'm like, oh, right, this is still there under the surface. So taking that week away from work to do more like inner work, to connect with people and do a lot of like physical work was really, really powerful. And I was supposed to travel home yesterday and get back home to Boston late last night. But at this moment in time, Boston is getting a crazy, crazy, crazy blizzard. Apparently, it's like the worst, some like record-setting blizzard for some people, like some locations all time. So my flight to Boston was canceled, and I get to now spend an additional 5 days in Florida because that's the fastest I can get back, is like all flights are booked up. So today I'm sitting in a coffee shop. I rapidly booked an Airbnb. I'm staying with a very nice family, which is just totally unexpected, and was like late the other night trying to figure out my flights and just like get the fastest flight home that I could and redirect. So, something that I wanted to talk about is like, how do we deal with unexpected things that pop up, especially around money? Because that's what happens in life, is like when unexpected things happen, whether it's like your car breaking down or, whatever, your flight getting canceled. Often, not only do we have to deal with the jarring effects of dealing with that situation, we also have to deal with the money. So, for example, I was not planning on booking an Airbnb for 4 nights in Fort Lauderdale. And for the most part, my flights like worked out well. I had some extra credits dealing with like everything from traveling to Vegas to Costa Rica. And then like my flight got refunded, so that worked out. But the flight or the Airbnb was just like this unexpected charge that I wasn't expecting, wasn't looking forward to. So life happens, and it's like, how do we deal with these things? And I think the first piece is the mindset work of it's okay to feel frustrated. It's okay to feel like the jarring sense or the different emotions that come up. But how can we like let that be okay, give ourselves that time to feel and move through them so that we can then quickly come back to the state of enoughness. So this isn't just like bypassing those emotions and being like, everything's fine, everything's okay. We want to like be like, it's okay, let me feel this. This expectation disconnect, which is something that I talked about on a recent podcast episode, is like that's when we feel disappointment, is when we set an expectation and then it's not met. And then there's emotions that come with that. So, for example, I had the expectation I was going to go home to Boston, and that expectation was not met. And in that expectation redirect, like I had to process those emotions. So that's one. It's like take a deep breath, be in that for a moment, but also the quicker you can feel that, the quicker you can move through it. That's when you can then get into the like more thinking positive. But you can't just go straight to thinking positive. So that's what I did was I reset my expectations. I was like, okay, this actually can be a really good case scenario because instead of being in a blizzard, I get to be in Florida. Like, that's not that bad. I'm so grateful that I live in a world where if I need last minute like housing, I can book that. Like, I can just go online and find a place to stay. Like, that's actually really, really incredible that I can do that. So, really tapping into some of the thinking positive, some of the best case scenario. So that's like the internal work that comes with readjusting to when life throws unexpected things your way. But then I think there's also the financial piece too. And this comes a lot down to like the work that I help my clients with, which is how can you be financially solid and stable and secure no matter what? And a lot of that does happen in your mindset around money, but it also happens in your like tangible financial skill sets. So one thing that I was reminding myself when it was late at night and I'm stressed out and I'm trying to figure out flights as I'm breathing and moving through the emotions is also that I have an emergency fund. I literally have an emergency fund that I very, very rarely tap into. That's just money sitting there specifically when emergencies happen. And the purpose of that emergency fund is when life throws things your way and unexpected things happen, you can use that money and have it not affect like everything else that has to happen this month. Like instead of this like affecting my rent or affecting my this and affecting my that and being like, oh, I'm really, really stressed out about these extra several $100s that I wasn't planning on spending. Instead, I'm like, you know what? It's inconvenient. I don't want to pay it. And yet I have the money available. And therefore it's okay. Like, yeah, I wish I didn't have to tap into that money, but that's also the purpose of this money. And when you have that like tangible fallback, you have the system set in place to feel prepared for when life happens, because life will happen one way or another. That also can help you emotionally move through it more and more powerfully. So I am literally living, practicing this right now, being in somewhere I wasn't planning on being, spending money I wasn't planning on spending, working out of a coffee shop or out of my on like my bed in an Airbnb with the family that I'm living with now for the next couple of days. But I can feel safe and solid and grateful in that because I have set the foundations to be able to handle life when life happens. So living in abundance is not about like nothing bad's ever going to happen and life's always going to be magical and rainbows and butterflies and good, because that's just not true. It's like, how can we be capable of dealing with things when they do happen? And part of that is the mindset work. The other part is the tangible financial work. So that's my little video newsletter for today. Hopefully next week, when I send you next week's video newsletter, I will be back home in snowy Boston. But that is all for this week. Thanks for tuning in and have a great rest of your Money Monday.